Now let's have a little music. I always want to have a little music when we're going to do these podcasts. It's just my way. I guess when people hear music, it must be this crazy guy trying to do podcasts, Zoom, YouTube, Facebook, or whatever is on his mind. But you know what? Everybody has a unique style. And it's just their style. So folks, this is it. And it's called now, new name, old name, but a new name. It's the Counselor's Corner with Dr. Cecil Cockerham. And I'm excited today because not about what I'm doing, and I am busy, but I'm excited about our special guest, Toni Carraway-Smith. Let me tell you just a little bit about her because she's going to tell you a lot more than I can. But hey, she is a blogger, an author, a playwright. Listen, she's involved in a lot of things. If you're not following her, please do. Please do. She has a lot of good things to say. And I want you to hear her today with a great story about when she was very, very young with 2 babies. No education to speak of. And I met her in that travels that she was doing at the time. And she has become an outstanding young lady that can do many, many things today. And listen, let me tell you what. Let me get this music out of here. Because I'm going to have some other stuff be showing up here that I don't need to show up. There we go. But today, my very special guest is more than just the things I said. She's my friend for life, Toni Carraway-Smith. So listen in, look in, because I'm going to have this on my podcast today. But when you hear this story, I think you'll want to follow her because she's somebody that I follow. And I tell you, she's got a story that will inspire you that wherever you are in your walk, there's more. And there's more. And then wherever you are there, there's even more. Congratulations, Toni. Glad you can be part of this, whatever we're going to call this, Zoom, podcast, or whatever, but a way to communicate your great story. So I'm anxious to have you tell your story today because you're inspiring to everybody who listens to you. So take it away. It's yours.
Thank you, Dr. Cecil. It's always an honor, as I mentioned before in the last segment, to be a part of any broadcast that you have. And it's a privilege for you to even call on me to talk on your panel of shows. And I'm grateful for that. Since knowing you, you have been a tremendous, you've played a tremendous part of my life and helped for me to be where I'm at today. So I want to thank you for that.
It's all your work. God's doing a great work in your life.
Thank you. Yeah, so I know that we talked maybe about a few weeks ago, we were talking about my story. We was talking about the play. We was talking about me growing up as a teen mom and my education, the lack of education that I had. Yeah, we was talking about a lot of good things. So today I want to kind of piggyback on the first segment of my story. We left off where I had finally got my education. I don't know if any of you all that's listening in today seen the first segment. But on the first segment, we was talking about me having my first child at the age of 15 and the second child at 16. I didn't know how to read and write. I self-educated myself, reading my son's books while they were asleep. I dipped into some alcoholism and smoked some weed and got high. That's what I call it back then. So I don't know what they call it now because I don't do it.
Whatever they call it today.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I lived a very, very interesting life. And I thank God that He has brought me through all that travail, that pain, and to where I'm at today. So today, it's a different story for me. I don't know where I would be if I had not had God in my life, because that was a choice that I had to make. I had to either continue to live a lifestyle that I was living, or just completely just surrender and be the mother that I needed to be for my children, and the woman that I need to be for myself, and have self-love.
And you have done a great job. You have done a great job, because I've followed you all these many years, and you have just become, I'm so impressed. A lot of people who start with a great education have not become an author, a playwright, a blogger, a radio host person, which I saw, I bet you there at the station where you did an interview with me. And I thought that was exciting.
Yeah. You and Ruth.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and Ruth, I interviewed you. Yeah, I see that. I passed across that video not too long ago. And
Yeah, I
looking back,
watched
just
it.
looking back, yeah.
I was
just looking
inspired
back.
with that whole thing. I watched it not too long ago.
Yeah.
And I've got Ruth coming on for a segment. She's been very busy. They have sold their house and they're moving. So they're in a change of life, moving someplace.
Good.
Yeah.
Good for
So
Ruth.
anyway, when that happens, it gets back to norm, shall I say?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have her on one of these interviews, because she has got a great story to tell
Oh,
too.
she has an awesome testimony. She
Oh
has
yeah.
an awesome testimony.
I'm
Yeah.
about to take her life when she met me. I mean,
Yeah.
truly,
Yeah.
On the brink of death.
Yeah,
And
you
now,
know, you say you play a part in helping a lot of people. You know that your heart is so pure, and I just thank God for you, for me personally. But you are a gem.
thank you.
You have really, and just hear some of the testimonies that I've heard of people that know you.
Yeah.
The instrument that you played in their life is so beautiful. Just like today, this panel, and we was talking before the segment start, and you made a point about podcasts.
Yeah.
Is very important, especially now during the pandemic, because people can't go anywhere. And this is a platform that we as believers and we as people are responsible to get out there and share the word and minister to the people, you know? And like you said, it's the pulpit now. You mentioned that it's a new pulpit.
I got that from a lady who's a professional, 15 years doing this. And she made that statement. And I said, now that's profound. Today.
And I really enjoy doing it. I'm looking into doing some exciting things in the year of 2021, if God allowed me to do that. We live day by day, but I'm working on some things. So I'm looking forward to doing some things with myself and with my husband. He just finished his book on being delivered from drugs. So he's doing a book on a journal through to help others how to get through it.
I love Ken.
Yeah.
I remember his testimony. He got up in front of the class and spoke.
Yeah.
I have it on tape. I've taped those.
Really?
I
would love to see that.
I videoed those. It's on my old computer to my left.
I need to look and see what you got your old computer to your left.
I was looking, some stuff came up. I was looking for something else, and that class came up. A graduating class came up, and I said, well, there's Coach. There he is. That's Toni's husband.
Yeah, and what you're saying now, I guess we can dip and dab into the part, because it could be this segment could last a long time.
Oh yeah.
But since we're speaking about Ken is my husband, and Dr. C know him well.
Yes.
We went through a seminary with him, and I tell you, during that time, we walked in wanting to help others, but little did we know that we was broken, both of us, and we was actually needing to help ourselves. So we got 2 in 1. We got some education,
yep,
and we got some healing.
Yep.
We
Isn't that
got some,
amazing?
and we fall back onto those same, as I always mention when we have our talks, index cards.
Yes. Oh,
Index
yeah.
cards was important because if we had those index cards are so prevalent because we can go back to those cards.
Yes.
And just looking at those cards would bring back that day, bring
Yes.
back bring back that whole scene, just knowing, okay, this is what I need to do.
You know what? Ruth reminds me of those cards when we were talking, because she always, always referenced those 3x5 cards that she kept in her computer, in her car. And she just kept just memorizing and mulling over and saying those scriptures on those cards that meant something to her during that desperate, dark time in her life that brought her through. And it's just inspirational. It's just inspirational.
Yes. Yeah. So, Ken, since then, of course, there was some relapse since then. Maybe one relapse, but we have had approximately about three separations since then, because prior we had about 3 or 4. But we always came back to those scriptures, and we always came back to our first love, which is God. And then we had to remember that, so with the teenage pregnancy, with the domestic violence, the abuse, growing up in a household with domestic violence and abuse, living house to house, being homeless, among all the other things that I had to go through, shelters and things like that of that nature, being stabbed by my son's father. And, and I just, and I just thought at this point that I've met someone that I just could really be happy with and not worry about those things. But little did I know I had to worry about the addiction that he had. And you out there in the listening audience, if you know someone or have heard stories of someone that was on crack cocaine, I tell you, it's, and as being a wife in a household, it was devastating.
Well,
And
they need to talk to you, because you can kind of guide them through the process, because now you're on the other side.
Yeah, and I never thought that my husband would never change. I got to the point to where, and I'm just being very transparent. I got to the point to where, and it's a strong word now, but I know that that's how I felt. I hated to be around him. I just, I didn't want to be around him anymore. Just the fact that why would someone say that he loved me and my children and take money and things out of the house and stay gone and put us through the situation where we had to move, and then with the addiction, when he went through, like the I guess what you say, when he go through the stage where he would get help, when he come back, he would be so angry because I didn't know that that was the side effect of the drug. So me now educating myself from, when I needed to educate myself, I'm learning to educate myself on substance, on drugs, on how to learn about his triggers. Now I'm okay now, but I'm now learning about my husband, because we are as one. I'm needing to learn about how can I help him, through sickness and health. That was a sickness. I assumed it was a sickness. A lot of people say, well, Toni, why you keep putting up with it? Well, he's my husband, and it's a sickness. I have to be there for him. I would lay hands on him. I would pray for him. And it's, and I knew that God was going to come through one day. And if I tell you, we've been married 25 years. It took 23 years for us to get to where I wanted to be 23 years ago.
Now, and this is encouraging for somebody that's listening. Be encouraged. Don't give up. Took 23 years to get to the point you are today, out of the 25. So listen, folks, if you're listening to this is a message. There is hope.
Yeah. And so, if I would have left, I would have never seen the redemption from what he went through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I persevered, even though we separated. I separated because I didn't separate it because I wanted to separate it. I didn't want to separate, but I went to the Father, and when times that was separated, sometimes my husband left and he left and I was at peace. I left, I was at peace, but the separation was necessary.
Yes.
It was necessary. But at that point, like I said today, when he came back, I tell you, it's a sense of peace over him. It's just like I said, he's who I wish he was when I married him.
Yeah.
And what I married him for. And so I just thank God for that, because I tell you, like Dr. C said, don't give up. Now, if it's physical abuse,
That
that's
separates.
one thing. That's one thing. My husband was verbal. He was verbal, and he was emotional. But he emotionally and psychologically, I believe, and I could say that was abusive. I allowed that because I didn't stand up for myself. I had so much pain. I would just let him do it instead of just, telling him what the Bible said.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I started getting really bold and loving myself enough to start letting him know what God said. You can't talk to me that way. You can't do that. If I had to face him, I had to deal with that spirit in him. I had to deal with that person that I knew that he wasn't, but it was something allowing him to be so mean, allowing him to, be so verbally abusive, and Dr. C, I realized that after he came back, after all those years, I didn't know that my husband was abused.
Oh, the abuser abuses.
He was abused so much at a younger age by a family member, and I'll let him tell his story.
Sure.
He was getting whoopings and being abused, and some things happened when he was younger, and that and it's not an excuse for him to talk down to me when we were married, but it's always a root source of why people hurt people.
Root and fruit.
Yes.
Root, fruit. What kind of root is it will give you the kind of fruit. So if you look at bad fruit, guess what you're going to have? Some bad roots, right?
Yes, yes.
It's just correlation there. But I tell you what, when Ken comes out with his book, I want to do an interview with him and you.
Mm-hmm.
We can have three of us talking.
Okay, that sounds good.
How we can introduce that book and what it means today. 23 years out of that 25. Now look at you guys. Successful. You've written books and all kinds of things. So you have a message to share with people.
Yes, and so now I have so much time to where I have a lot of time to think about what steps I'm going to take next, because I have a lot to do. It's a lot of work to do right now in the world, and I love helping people. I love volunteering, and for nothing. I just want to do it all out of love.
Well, people need a little love today with what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
You can solve a lot of problems if we just love for one another. I tell you what, I think we're going to need to do another podcast or another Zoom or another interview or another something, because you got so much more to say, and we don't want to make this too long. I don't know about people, and I've learned this from the TED Talks. TED Talks are 15 to 18 minutes is the good time for people to, whatever they do, 15, 18 to 20 minutes, something like that. Because people is going to be, they already left us. Some people already tuned in and left us. It's just a fact. They may be watching, but their mind is some other place. So we got to keep it within kind of limits. So I tell you what, I love talking to you. Let's do another podcast and come back and say, continuing the story.
Okay.
Continuing the story, because we need to continue this another time. So I'm going to pause and stop the recording and say, be blessed today because you already are. That's my tagline. Remember that?
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, Dr. C.
Thank you for being a special guest. Okay. Bye-bye.